chains of habit are too light to be felt until they are too heavy to be broken. I don't know whose quote that is, but it's pretty good, hey? This is Dylan with Life, Sober October edition.
I used to think if I couldn't find hope, I should just let it all go. I used to think if I couldn't make dreams come true, I should just let them all go. When life seems impossible, look from every angle, change just one little thing. When life feels intolerable, find your true source of love. Concentrate, focus on love. Centered and focus on love.
All right, here we go. It's October, that time of year again, spooky season, and I am for the third straight year doing Sober October. What a time it is. Last year's Sober October, I started this whole thing, the podcast, something that I want to do for years. I was finally able to bear down long enough to get this thing started. I've been reading a lot about habits recently, going into this month, obviously. And a lot of the quotes and things I've read have been contrasting inspiration and habits. Basically, how habits are what turn inspiration into things. And that sort of hits home pretty hard because there's so many things that I'm inspired by and I'm inspired to do and I want to do and ideas that I have, but I certainly don't have the habits to stick to them, to get them done. And a lot of those are self-destructive habits, even if it's things that don't seem like it. You know, drinking. I'm not an alcoholic by any means, but again, I'm a dude in his mid-20s, late 20s that is going to have a beer every now and then. And every now and then, when you work at a brewery, when you work in the service industry, ends up being more days a week than not. You know, when you play hockey and you see the boys and you socialize or try to socialize and you're uncomfortable doing it, you need a beer. You need some of that liquid courage, that social lubricant. Yeah, I think that quote at the start, the chains of habit are too light to feel until they're too heavy to be broken. I never realize maybe how frequently I do have a beer and how that in turn changes the decisions I'll make throughout the day or throughout the night or the next morning. I'll wake up tired. Now it's affected my next day. And so I do somewhat nervously look forward to October for the past couple of years. The first time I did Sober October, wild month, I've talked about it before, but really hammered home for me how healthy it can be and what maybe the alternative to going through life sober or not could be, what that looks like, what decisions would get made. And so this year again, it came around and here we are. I think I needed it, at least going into it this year, more than the previous two. I think the first year, something unexpected happened that I benefited greatly from having the sober month. I think last year I made something happen during the month. And I think that this year it's coming at a time where no matter what happens during the month, the change that it's going to bring just from being a sober month is going to be beneficial. And I would love to encourage everybody out there listening to try a sober month. Because again, when was the last time you did a full sober month? It's nice to feel the effects of a healthier lifestyle, even if just for 1/12 of the year. Each year I've given myself a little challenge or something to stick to. The first 2 years they've been more physical fitness type challenges. Last year, obviously the podcast was one of the big goals on top of that. This year, honestly, with where the world's at, with where my life is at this point, with where I was leading up to October, which was drinking more frequently and smoking weed more frequently than I had been in a long time. Both of those I just chalked up to trying to get it out before October came, but I think that's what I let it evolve into after a couple weeks is, well, October's coming up. I got to get it out of my system. So with all that going on, I'm not adding in a physical fitness element this year because I don't think I would stick to it. I'm working a lot right now, 2 jobs. There's a pandemic going on. And I think a lot of things in my life are a little disorganized. So I don't want to set a goal that I don't believe I'd achieve. Because I think that's one of the biggest things with setting goals. If you want to achieve goals, I think you've obviously got to first set goals. But to keep from discouraging yourself, you need to be setting achievable goals. So start small and then go from there. Like the sober month, that's it. I'm not, when it started, it was really, okay, let's just do that and do a push-up a day. And then, you can do with that what you can, but set the most achievable goals and, over-deliver on them. So this year, sober month, and that's full sober month. I've talked to some friends and they're like, oh, you're not smoking weed either, or oh, you're not doing this. Or I've got some people that are doing it with me and they're like, you've got too many rules. I should be able to do this and do this. And I put up a fight about that, but that's definitely more of a personal thing. If you just want to take a sober month and cut something out, then all the power to you. I'm just happy that you're making a healthier decision. But for me, I know if I were to just cut out one thing, I would immediately replace it with something else. And then it wouldn't seem as beneficial to me. But that is a me thing. If I was 50% here and 50% there, I cut out one of those, I'd just go 100% on the other. And I think it's a lot easier to go cold turkey with things. If you want to cut back, it's like, well, you're just leaving the door open for still doing these things. I don't, struggle with myself the 11 months outside of Sober October because I don't feel the need to. I know this month's going to come and I'm going to do 31 days, start to finish, no exceptions. And that's what I need to do. I need to know that this is a period of just not doing it. If I'm like, oh, there's one cheat day in there, that one cheat day will happen in the first couple of days. I'm like, well, this is what happened. That one, I'll allow another cheat day. So it's not the way I fly. This year, I want to play the piano for any amount of time every day. I've got my piano here, so I've been doing that. And it's interesting I don't know, not that I really play the piano, but for anybody that plays an instrument out there, if you haven't picked it up in a long time, and I haven't tickled the ivories in quite a while before October, I sat down there and it felt like my left hand was on the right and my right hand was on the left, and I could not, I was just making noise. But it's funny how quickly it comes back. It's the 8th of October. So I've had 7 days before this sitting down there, and I'm back to basically what my best was, which isn't saying much, but it's there, it's something. And it's just from getting, getting that habit going, consistently doing it. And then I also skipped the dishes. off my phone because I think that's a vice as well. And it's also just, it's never really a good choice. Getting skip comes from either not eating properly throughout the day, not grocery shopping, usually not getting as healthy food. So I decided just to cut skip out for the month, spending more money because I don't need it. It's there. So I'll do it. Just like drinking, just like smoking. I don't need these things, but I'm going to do it if it's there. So cut it out, move on, at least for the month. I'm sure I'll be getting a donaire on November 2nd while I have a beer and smoke a joint. But that's a month away, so I'll worry about that then. But yeah, you are your habits. And your life is where your attention is at. You are your habits. And I think that can maybe rile people up inside to think that they are their habits, because everybody has bad habits. A lot of people have good habits too, but some people have more bad habits, but they think that they're just temporary, just things they do now. No, they're not problems. They can stop anytime, but you are your habits. If you're habitually doing these things, that's who you are. That's what you do. And don't hide from that. Don't lie to yourself that the bad habits and things you do aren't who you are, because at least right now they are. While your attention is on them, they are you. The good news is you can change where your attention is and how much is paid to do these different things. But we become what we repeatedly do. If I'm talking to somebody, especially about my podcast of late, I love this, but I have trouble saying that I have a podcast or that I'm a podcaster or whatever the term I would use, or however the conversation's going, because I haven't been doing it. I've put out 2-3 episodes in 4 months, 5, 6 months, however long it's been. So how can I say that that's what I do? Or that's something I do when it's something I did? As far as me right now in this moment, which is the only thing that's real, the present me, the present you, I haven't had a podcast. I've been a workaholic and go to bed late-aholic. And I'll just have 2 puffs-aholic. And again, I think all of those things just spiral and snowball with each other. You start making those decisions a little more consistently, and now you're going to make the decisions that are closely related to them. And for me with drinking, it's buying food, fast food, or not so much fast food, but definitely just donaires every 2 fucking days. Living off pizza, not eating veggies. Like mixing a salad every now and then. But yeah, going to bed late, definitely part of that. And I know I'm excited for, hopefully, midway through, towards the end of this month, I can get on a better schedule. Sleep schedule. Because you don't stay out as late, blah, blah, blah. Already making better decisions. Like, well, I might as well just go to bed. Get some rest. Get 8 full winks in. Oh, one thing that I wanted to say to anybody out there. Go through your screenshots. I don't know if you're like me, but I definitely know there are people out there that are very similar. And, you'll be scrolling through your phone, on your phone, doing whatever, and you'll see something. You don't want to forget it, so you'll just screenshot, because you'll go back to that at some point. And then you never go back to it. Like, you can go into your phone, you can go to your gallery, you can sort by screenshots, and you can just scroll through there. So do that now. Do that. Maybe don't do it now. Maybe keep listening to the podcast, but or do both and then you'll miss a part of it, and then you'll have to listen again, and that'll get more listens. So yeah, do it now. Go through your screenshots, see what's in there, see what things you wanted to remember or look back on or attempt at a later time. I probably won't do it. I was going to say I'll probably do it after this, but I'm not going to, because I'll forget. Because you just forget when you're like, oh, you know what I haven't done in a while? Gone through my screenshots. Did a float tank today. Third float. Third float of my career. It was different. I've already told this to a couple people, but every time I do a float, or each time I've done a float, they've been quite different experiences, and not in a good or a bad way, in more of a inexplicable way. But this one was good. This one I had a lot on my mind, or in my mind, going into it, and I think that both helped and hindered my ability to work on those things, because there were so many things going in and out. But it did definitely help me relax. Certainly helped me see some of those in either a different light, or solidified the way that I was already feeling about them, which is just as necessary to get out of that weird limbo and possibly feeling bad or not feeling right about something that's been going on. It's like, there's nothing wrong with the stance that you have. One point in there, I felt like the whole pod chamber, I felt like the whole thing was just being rocked violently back and forth, which was an interesting sensation. It came just at the time that I started talking to something, just talking. So that was an experience. And I'm excited to have a sober couple weeks after this now, because I feel like it does put you in a slightly different mind state. And I know that after the last two floats that I've done, I have drank pretty soon thereafter, heavily, which is an interesting correlation, because I think I'm just so relaxed and free that it's like, ooh, yeah, let's drink and keep drinking. So excited to have a build off of it, maybe, for a couple weeks. And I plan on hopefully, possibly, maybe doing another one before the end of the month. Just start tacking them on. I will say this now. During this month, I do want to get back to consistently putting episodes out. So tell your friends, tell your parents, tell your cousins. Hey, cousin, did you check out the Dylan with Life podcast? It's really good. I've got this idea where I'm thinking, I know what my episodes generally get in the first week of them being out. And if these episodes consistently are higher than what the previous episodes have been in the first week, I'm going to use that as an excuse. I'll use the word excuse here. I'm going to use it as an excuse to stay sober. So if you want me to stay sober, and I mean, we'll see how this month goes. If sober's not my thing, then we can boycott the podcast. But if it seems like it's working out, then make sure you listen to it when they drop. Make sure you share it, because I think if episodes keep doing better than they usually do, I'll take that energy and I'll continue to keep putting out consistent episodes and maybe keep the sober thing going. I finally buckled and bought some masks. I tell you, up until a couple days ago, I hadn't bought any masks during this whole pandemic. I got some free ones from work, some cloth ones, reusable ones. I bought some through work, So not like I spent money, and those are just the classic blue with the white. But I finally did it today. Bought like just a classic black cloth one, swaggy. I often wear black too, so high fashion. And then the other ones I bought more political or social statements. I got a no more missing and murdered Indigenous women mask. So I'm kind of excited to wear that and see what other kind of messages I can put out on my mask. I think masks are great billboards because they're still so new that you sort of take notice when people have them on. If people just have shirts on, you're not going to read every shirt you see, sweater, whatever it is. But masks, they're right there. They're right in your face. If you make eye contact with someone, you can pretty much see it. And we haven't seen too many different variations before. So any new ones that you're seeing, you sort of take notice of. And I think you can really do whatever you want with it because it's such a small piece. Like you could, but you might not feel comfortable having a super loud shirt or pants or jacket, top, whatever it is. But I think with a mask, just this little pocket right there that you can and will be taking on and off more than other articles of clothing, I think it's a great place to make a statement of some sort, which is interesting. I can definitely see masks staying a part of just an accessory to your outfit, to your look after COVID is done. Obviously, there's some places in the world where people wear masks during flu seasons as is already. And I think with the money that people are putting into these, the money that Big Mask is generating is not going to die off. So go buy some personalized masks or some masks near and dear to your heart, because you're going to get your money's worth out of them. That's the thing too. They're relatively cheap for quite an important article of clothing, equipment. It's PPE, really. But the reason I bought masks is because I just got Amazon Prime, because I haven't done anything in a month or so because I've been working lots, and I was, I guess, fiending for some type of, looking for a word that I can't find. Not sporadic, but it's when you like just do something on a whim. It's so stupid. Impulse. It was just an impulse buy, I guess. But I got Amazon Prime. I got Audible. And it's like, well, if I have Amazon Prime, what can I buy? So we bought some masks. Bought another salt lamp. Bought another salt lamp. Which is beautiful, by the way. If you don't have a salt lamp in your life, get one. The 1 year anniversary of the podcast is coming up in a week or two. Kind of want to do something for that. Maybe a giveaway. Maybe the giveaway will be a salt lamp, because I think they're just good. They're just good stuff. Bought some socks. I've decided that from now on I will only be buying the I don't know what they're called, but they just socks that don't show over. They're like for flats. If girls are wearing flats, I don't know if guys wear flats, but those, like, they barely come up your ankle, well below your ankle bone, show off a bit of that top foot there, super sexy. But I like showing off my ankles, I think. I got sexy ankles, and I like having them out there. So bought a bunch of those socks off of the old Bezos machine. Also because I hadn't done laundry in a while and I was running out of socks. Which is me. That's me in a nutshell. Or that's been me. Those are my current habits. That's current me in a nutshell for sure. I'm also the kind of dude who cleans his bathroom sink with the spittle for brushing my teeth, you know? Like the sink gets used throughout the day. And then when brushing my teeth at the end of the night, you know, I'm brushing, spit out the bubbles. Then I go to rinse, get my face down in there, under the tap, start swishing it around. While I'm there, have a look around the sink, little inspection time. And then when it's time to spit, I just take aim at errant hair or a like soap stain that had come from washing hands at some point earlier, and I'll just jet stream. Fucking water gun. Yeah, just clean it up. Do some damage. Have some fun with it too. There's a human out there named Ben, avid listener of the podcast. He believes that I don't know if he believes there's too much talk about things that go on in the bathroom, but he definitely says that there's a lot of it. And on a somewhat similar topic, I wanted to address all the dudes, the guys, boys, men, basically the penis operators of the world. It is my belief that we have the duty of peeing outside at all times possible. With the state of the world, the planet, the way it is, save some water. Save the world. Pee outside. Speaking of peeing outside, we're getting into fall. And here in Vancouver, we've had a really good fall, weather-wise. So it hasn't been peeing outside too much. Before I get into this, there was something I wanted to talk about that just reminded me with that here in Vancouver. I think this is the case in a lot of places in the world right now. But we've got this 10 p.m., not curfew, but everything shuts down for the most part. You can't order a drink after 10 p.m. And I think that's, I'm going to say dumb. Because I don't think it's really saving all that much. As far as I get that, you don't want people out for a longer period of time, I guess, mingling out later into the night. The drunker you get, the sloppier you get, the more you're spitting in people's faces. Sure, I get that part of it, but in my area here, just outside of the downtown core of Vancouver, like I could run to downtown in a pretty quick 25 minutes. Be in the heart of downtown, but I'm pretty fast. But we've had a snatcher or a wannabe snatcher out in them streets for the past couple of weeks. Some dude's been rolling up in a car, approaching women late at night, walking alone, trying to snatch him. We don't know what he's gonna do because he hasn't gotten anybody yet. He might be trying to take them to a castle and give them the best life, but that's probably not the case. Probably wants to tickle them against their will and do other things against their will. That I was thinking, how does this, of course, during a pandemic, during 2020, that's when a snatcher comes out. Like, it makes so much sense. And that was the only real correlation. I was just like, yeah, of course, this is the year that a bone collector would be out there. But then I was leaving work one time with a coworker because she shouldn't be out there alone. So I was waiting for her for a bus, and we were looking around. It's like, I realized this is why there's a snatcher. It's 11 o'clock and all these different eateries and pubs and bars and restaurants are closed. And the streets that would generally be filled up until 1 a.m., 2 a.m. be full of people just buzzing around. Like they're still going to a different place, meeting up with somebody, doing whatever they're doing, working still. They're all done and closed. And there's just more time in the night, first of all, for a snatcher to be doing his thing. And you got to think a snatcher's still going to make money, so he's probably got a job or some sort of scheme to generate income, and he needs his 8 winks as well. But now if he can get out there at 11 o'clock and the streets are empty, aside from people that have just sort of closed up alone because it's half capacity and we don't need many people at these establishments, that's why he's out there. It's easy pickings. So, team fuck snatchers, for sure. Let me say that loud and clear. But I do think it has a lot to do with the regulations that are maybe unnecessarily in place right now. And the longer this pandemic goes on at this height, the longer this whole thing goes on, the more polarizing I think it gets. And I don't even know where I stand on which parts of it anymore. It's so convoluted and there's so many different aspects to it and so many different things to think about, and the politics of it all it's a lot. But before that I was talking about being outside, and I was thinking that I at least in some ways have trouble accepting the way that I generally feel during days, like just during this life that I live, which is almost always inadequate for everything, from jobs to relationships to just being a person. And so I think a lot of what I do is try to not look or act like I feel that way. And I think during summer, during sunny days, I have a much harder time doing that, because the average person's moods are much higher. People are literally glowing in the sun. You know, I look around and people are feeling their best, they're feeling good. Hot girl summer. And that's really hard for me to match. But the fall and winter comes along, oh baby, that's my time to shine. And I think that it's because I look around and I feel more comfortable. A lot of people are wet and cold and generally miserable, and I'm so in my element at that point that it just makes me genuinely happier. And I don't know if that's a bad thing to say. It's not that I'm happier that people are unhappy, it's just that I find it easier to be happier myself when, I guess I know other people are down. Like, I'm happy to set the tone and be like, hey, it's not that bad. And when everybody else is happier, I can't set any real tone. I can't bring them up. But when everybody's starting at a lower base level, then I'm much more comfortable to just wear my smile and be happy to be getting poured on outside. Like I live for that. And I'd like people to see, like, yeah, it's just, you should too. There's nothing, sure, it's wet and it's cold, but such is life. Sometimes it rains. So I've always felt I've had like opposite seasonal affective disorder, where once it gets a little darker and a little colder, a little wetter, that's when I feel better, as opposed to longer, brighter, sunnier days. I'm so uncomfortable. I just feel out of place. Oh boy. Where are we going as a species, as a planet? Everything is moving so quickly, or progressing so quickly in terms of technology and what we're able to do. And, I think that we're experiencing more lifetimes within our lifetime than before. I think for the first however many thousands of years of whatever was a similar human experience, the starts of civilizations and even hunter-gatherers, you lived a lifetime. Things happened. And then up until the last 100, 200 years, you started to pack in a lot more. You started to see a lot more change in your time. And now we're at a point where, just 10 years ago, smartphones weren't really a thing. And now I see homeless people with smartphones. And we got fucking smart watches, and our smartphones is really all we need. Just society as a whole, I think, is having troubles keeping up with all these different things and changes that are happening, because so many different groups can get together through the internet and work on their agenda and start pushing it. And there's thousands of different causes that are serious and are real and probably need to be addressed, but we're also still just trying to deal with the normal, everyday, every year, every lifetime things. And our political system is taking such hits from that, because nobody knows what we want or where we're going or how to get there. And it's like we're not even really acknowledging that none of what we're fighting over today is gonna matter too much in 20 years. Life is gonna be so different in 20 years. I feel like half the population is not gonna have a job in 20 years. Automation and technology is gonna take so much of that away. And I feel like we're fighting over maybe some of the building blocks of what needs to be done to tackle those issues now. Like, they're starting to be brought up, but they're so not on the front burner when they really ought to be. We're still stuck arguing things that we already know the answers to. Whether like LGBTQ community should have rights. Like that's obvious. Everybody knows what the right, or most people know what the right choice is there. Like, yeah, of course. None, like, there's, who cares? We've got Trump in office. It's like so many different things. Like, save the planet. That shouldn't be, well, no, that we need to fucking buckle up here or we're all going to die. We're not going to have polar bears soon. They're stuck swimming for days because there's no ice to chill on. That's super sad. Hopefully they just come and start eating people in Winnipeg, or Manitoba at least. They're probably not going to go down to Winnipeg, but fuck. We know these things. Why are we still arguing about them? What we need to be figuring out is, what are we going to do when people don't have jobs? AI and machine learning is going to be so much better than humans at recommending things or decision making or fucking making music. Like, it's going to be able to know what's coming next is a lot more tracking. Like right now we've got tracking on our phones, what we search, what we do, but tracking our emotions and our responses to things is what's next. You know, tracking our brain waves, tracking our heart rates when watching a movie. Netflix is going to start tailoring movies directly to you. Wear this monitor while you watch these movies, and it'll see when your heart rate skips, when your pulse speeds, like what you enjoyed, what you didn't enjoy, parts of that movie, and it's going to start really tailoring things towards you. And then all of a sudden, it's going to know so much. And you know, with music, when it starts doing that, it's going to be able to not only pick songs for you, but create songs. It's going to know what kind of tempo to use to get to you when you're feeling sad, when you're feeling happy, when you're in specific moods. What music do you usually listen to? What types of sounds are you going to react to, and which ways? And I know that there's maybe those aren't jobs right now, but there's so many things that, are going to go way before that. Obviously, the electric vehicle issue right now is, the amount of truckers and drivers and Ubers and everything that's out there now, those are all gone in 15 years. All of them. These fast foods and quick sort of services, grocery stores, all those things, all those workers are gone soon. You'll have some stocking shelves, but all those jobs are going to get slashed. And I feel like the types of political systems that we have right now aren't, or at least not type of political systems, but the political parties that we have in a lot of, at least the Western world, because that's what I'm more familiar with as far as the way that things are currently trending. But I know that a lot of other places in the world are probably still behind us in a lot of those societal issues anyway, so they need to figure these out as well. But I don't think the political parties that we have are ready to tackle those. And I think that in this ever-changing society that's growing and changing at a quicker pace, an exponential rate, these issues are going to be on us before we know exactly what to do. And I feel that's why we're having these political messes, really. Complete 180s from the liberal process that we had been taking for 60 some odd years, 80 years, whatever fucking year it is. It's 2020. We're living in the future. And every day there's something new. It's like, oh, wow. And so I think what needs to be done, what needs to really be worked on right now is we need to set up and come up with a political plan, a societal plan for the future, for what we think maybe now is a lifetime away, but is going to happen in 20 years. Universal basic income is the start of that. A lot more of these social services are necessary. What are we going to do with people? How are people going to fill their times? People are going to go crazy. People are going to, we're not headed to a good place if it continues this way. And I think that this pandemic, we haven't even come close to feeling the effects of it. I understand that a lot of the world has shut down, and that's all well and good, but that's all pretty, momentary, and everybody's going through it. What the real effect of this is going to be is the year or years after. 1, 2, maybe 3 years. These next 3 years are going to be insane. Everybody that owes the government for this check and that check and these taxes and those taxes and haven't paid this and haven't saved that and behind on this and deferred this payment, and mortgages now coming after you and the banks are coming after you, and your student debt loans. None of that's really been felt yet. Everything's been pushed away. We're going to have to deal with all of that with just the mess that is political landscape right now. And I think the problem is that there is no unified world theory on where we're headed. Really, we need Jesus to come back and just be like, yo, you fucked up. But I guess the truth is anybody alive today could be Jesus. Could be the second coming of Christ. Because he is just an idea. And any of us can be that idea. Any of us can create change, push the world forward. That probably starts with habits, with good habits. Because you are what you do. So do good. And be good. Would have been really nice to wrap it up right there, but I didn't do a recommendation. And I also was thinking about this. Yeah, I know we got a few minutes left. That would have been a great ending, though. And I'm kind of upset that I sort of blew that load there, but such is life, you know. Sometimes you finish early, and there's more work to be done. So remember the segment from maybe the first episode, or at least some of the early episodes, called Things I Don't Know? I thought of something else for that segment. So, Things I Don't Know. Anyway, I don't know which months have what amount of days. Like before 8-9 days ago, I didn't know how many months were in September. I'm pretty sure you know the main ones. You know October. Everybody knows October is 31 because there's a fucking spooky day with skeletons and witches. October's got 31 days. December, 31 days, easy. We all know that. February, 28, 29. Other than that, it's 50-50 odds for me. I'd guess, I'm pretty sure January's 31. And then, I don't know, with all those ones in the middle, like March to August. We even just had them. We have them every year, and I still don't know. November next month. I think it's 30. November 31st sounds strange. And that would be 3-4, I guess, maybe. 31-day month. So I think, yeah, November is 30, but August, I wouldn't bet my cat on it, that's for sure. And then recommendation for y'all. It's the recommendation. I feel like I need jingles for these segments. But recommendation, this episode, I don't know what it's called, but I just watched it. It is the David Attenborough, I think it's like a documentary on, basically a documentary on his life, but it's him pretty much telling you, hey, I've gone and seen things, and I was lucky enough to see a lot of the natural world, but y'all not going to see any of it because you're killing the planet. So don't kill the planet. But give it a watch. He's one of my favorite people in the world. I've mentioned him more than a few times on the podcast. Anytime anybody asks me the dinner party question, who would you want at your dinner party? Attenborough. He's there. Tupac. Really just those two. I think that'd be incredible. 3 of us would have a time. But maybe, I can't remember if I've done this already, but maybe I'll talk about dinner party next episode because I already finished and I'm ready to roll over and take a nap. But yeah, watch that on Netflix, Attenborough. Probably called like Planets Dying or something like that. I'm sure it's going to be suggested to everybody. Give it a watch. Really interesting footage. He's 90-something. He's 90-something years old. And he could, I'm not going to say he could beat me in a race because I've already established this episode. I'm pretty quick. But he can definitely beat me when I'm 90-something in a race because I'll be dead. But the dude's like as old as Betty White, and he seems normal. And Betty White's a walking corpse. I don't even think she's walking anymore. I don't think anybody's seen her in years. She might be dead. Anyway, Attenborough, just a hero of a man. So watch his documentary. And that's it. That's all I got. I love you, first of all. And I also love any pet that you have. Because there's no reason not to love any pet. And fuck the Houston Astros. Seriously, fuck the Houston Astros. Dylan with life. Good night. Or good morning.